What's up guys, it's good to see you guys again, and it's really good to be back going on one of these drives again. So as you can see in the background, we have the all new Toyota RAV4. By the time you watch this video, this car would have already been launched. Now, as this is the new normal, things are going to be a little different. It's not going to be a full day of driving, a one night stay, outstation kind of drive. It's only going to be a 2-hour drive from Toyota's HQ in Shah Alam all the way to Rimbayu. So for all intents and purposes, I'm going to make it really quick, really concise. I'm going to tell you my first impressions of the car in terms of how it drives, especially in the urban area, and perhaps a little walk around to just show you briefly what the features are like. So first impressions, I think the sitting position is spot on. Visibility is great. I've adjusted my seat to the lower sitting position. I like to be seated a lot lower, and despite that, I can still see over the dashboard very clearly. So I think for those who aren't so tall, if you adjust the seat a little higher, you'll be perfect. I don't think you'll have any problems in terms of visibility. Diagonal visibility, rear visibility, I think it's great, although I think perhaps the C-pillar is a little thick. Then again, you have some windows there, so it's not exactly restricted. Just to give you a brief background, to touch base a bit on both variants. So the 2-litre one goes for 196,000. This one, the 2.5-litre model, goes for 215,000 ringgit. The 2-litre one makes 173 horsepower, 207 Newton meters of torque from a dynamic force engine paired to a CVT transmission. The 2.5-litre model, also a dynamic force engine, making 207 horsepower, 243 Newton meters of torque. But this one is not paired to a CVT. This one is paired to an 8-speed automatic. Now, this engine, as we have sat through a product briefing earlier, has been improved in more ways than one. It's running on an electric thermostat, electric water pump, the valves. The position of the valves have been repositioned, slightly slanted, you know, so you get a more optimized combustion. All very geeky stuff. But essentially, what you're getting out of this engine is better efficiency and smoothness. While I can agree with Toyota on that, in terms of the smoothness, in the way it accelerates, how responsive it is, I think perhaps in terms of the noise, in terms of how it sounds when it's producing that power, could be better, could be more refined. But otherwise, going through my first corner now, it is everything I'd expect of a Toyota SUV with the tnga technology, the tnga platform, in terms of offering assurance, stability on the road, refinement. It's just on another level, even when you compare it with the CX-5 and the CR-V. Now, it's something that on paper you will never be able to see. Unfortunately, it's not one of those things where it's like a reverse camera or like Apple CarPlay. You can just like put it on the brochure and people will understand and they see the value in it on paper straight away. Speaking of the reverse camera, personally I think for a car that costs 200,000 ringgit, the display quality can be a lot better. Just like the Subaru Global platform, the new Subaru Global platform that you see in the Subaru XV and the Subaru Forester, this takes the SUV level, SUV game to a whole new level, if you ask me. You know, in terms of stability, composure and all that. Throttle response has been great, visibility has been great, it's very easy to drive. Only thing is that while power, I would say, to be fair, is sufficient, but the way in which the engine gives you power, the side effect of it giving you power is that noise. I feel like it could be a lot more refined. But in that sense, on the topic of refinement, at this point now, if I'm being very fair, and I have driven the CR-V before, I've spent a lot of time in the CX-5 before, this one really sets the benchmark, I'd say. In terms of refinement, smoothness, ease of driving, effortless driving, I mean, as much as I admire the competencies of the CR-V and I really like the CX-5. This one just takes it to a whole new level, if you ask me. This one to a next level. Oh, speaking of a CR-V, I guess what a lot of people did not expect is the price. Now, it's funny because I mean, being in this job for like a few years now, it's just whatever news, whatever things we say, whatever announcements that we put out, we just kind of know the reactions of the viewers and our readers right by now. So the only thing that was not expected about this car was obviously the price. Now, a few reasons actually. If you look at it objectively, right, just hear me out, objectively. Number one, it's made in Japan, right? And this is not the CBU like the Camry where it's made in Thailand. It's made in Japan. Number two, it's got the tnga, specifically the tngak platform, which underpins the Camry and the new Harrier as well. So that's a new tech as well. And then you obviously have the dynamic force engine, which is a new engine again. So these three things alone, I feel like substantially add to the unfortunate circumstance of our very high import tax. And then, you know, as an end result, you get the 196,000 and 215,000 price tag, which is unfortunate. And I think, let's just say, even if Toyota were to assemble this car in Shah Alam, to locally assemble it, how much lower can it get, right? Maybe 180. It's still rather high, but I mean, that's what you get, right? For like new stuff, new tech. Since we have came to the point of the price, now I know it's very expensive. I totally agree with you. For an SUV catered to the middle class, where most just want a bigger car, a nice looking car, a car that's slightly higher in terms of sitting position, you know, 190,000 to 215,000 is just too expensive for what people require, for what most people require. Alright guys, so we're at our first stop now at the Shah Alam Stadium after like what, a 10-minute drive from the Toyota HQ. So as you can see over there, we have the RAV4 in the background. So I'm just going to take you on a brief walk around to show you what's new with this car, what kind of features it comes with, and perhaps maybe a slight comparison with the CX-5 and the CR-V. So as for the front here, you have the automatic headlamps, LED daytime running lights, halogen fog lamps. On the side, you get 18-inch wheels. And as for the back, you get LED combination tail lamps, a powered tailgate with kick sensor, so you get to open it hands-free. But I think by far the biggest selling point about this car is the fact that it comes with the largest boot in its category. 580 liters, you're talking about 140 more than the CX-5, about 60 more than the CR-V. And when you flatten it, you get about 1,600 liters. Only about 1,000 in the CR-V and about 1,300 in the CX-5. Massive boot. Now, as for the rear seat, as you can tell right off the bat, it's rather spacious. The rear seats are reclinable. These are their reclined position. You can sit them up straight like that. That's the difference. This is in the reclined position. You get rear aircon vents. 2 USB chargers back here, although, if I'm not wrong, this one's got the similar output as the one in the CX-5. The CR-V one, however, has a higher output, which is I think 2.5 amps. As for the quality of materials, you still get this sort of rubbery feel. Door handle at the back here. Nice soft touch materials. All the vital touch points, even here as well. In terms of space, as you can see, I'm seated slightly slanted with the seats reclined. Plenty of headroom, plenty of knee room, plenty of leg room. Seat ventilators are really doing their job, eh? I keep feeling this sort of breeze near my sensitive areas. I'm just wondering, like, what's going on? Why does it feel so cold? Like the aircon is not blowing towards this direction. And then I realized, like, oh yeah, you got ventilated seats. Perfect. really does the job. I mean, on a hot sunny day, I can imagine it to be very effective. On a rather cloudy day, in fact, it's starting to drizzle, it's even better. In fact, it's so cool, I might turn it down a little. Seat ventilators, man. It's such a brilliant idea. So we're on the highway now. Stability is there, the composure is there. I don't feel like I have to manage the car quite a fair bit. The steering is, off center. It's a bit numb, but I think that's fine because it's an SUV, it's not a sports car. I don't expect it to be engaging. I don't want it to be engaging all the time. It'll be very tiring. So I think in terms of the steering feel, how the car feels on the road, the stability I'm getting, it's all there. But NVH, I'm getting a bit of noise. I'm more inclined to say it's the tire noise. Yeah, and the noise from the road and all that. But in terms of the insulation from the windows and all, I'm doing about 90 kilometers an hour, actually almost 100 kilometers an hour. Yeah, in terms of wind noise, I think it's at a minimal. It's all coming primarily from the bottom, so I'm guessing the road, the tires and all that. And the same goes to ride comfort. I really like being in here. Everything from the outside that's not pleasant, that you don't want in the cabin, has been suppressed in terms of the vibration, the jolts, when the car goes through all the bumps and humps. It's just very comfortable. And this other thing that I really want to mention is just how plush everything feels, and how well built, how good the quality of the materials feel inside here. The seats, for one, supremely comfortable. There's no two ways to say it, right? The seats and all the touch points, the armrest feels very comfortable. Even on the doors, it feels very soft and nice. I'm particularly intrigued by this sort of rubber material that they've opted for. The door handle and even the aircon knobs, they're the same material. It's definitely got quite a unique feel to it. Very different as well compared to, for example, the metal bezel that you get, sort of the grooves on the side in the CX-5. As for the rest of the specs, aside from the differences with the engine capacity and the transmission options, everything between the 2-litre and the 2.5-litre variant is exactly the same. Whatever you get in the high-spec 2.5-litre model, you get it in 2-litre as well, and that includes the Toyota Safety Sense 2.0, which includes the dynamic radar cruise control, lane tracing assist, autonomous emergency braking, rear cross traffic alert, blind spot monitors and whatnot. You also got Apple CarPlay, Android Auto on the inside. I think I counted about 5 USB ports in here. Then you have wireless charging as well, rear aircon vents, and as I've showed you earlier, the power tailgate. It's all quite generous actually. I mean, if you don't look at the price, it's all quite generous. Concept-wise, theoretically, I feel like it's the same as like the iPhone. People complain. They complain, man. Nowadays, iPhones, I mean, just got one myself, right? We're looking at 3, 4, 5, 6,000 for these kind of things now. I mean, they're great now. They're essentially laptops, right? But this small, miniature laptops, but they charge a lot. People still pay because they know they're good. Just like the iPhone buyers, you have to justify, yourself. If you can afford it, whether you really need it, you really want it. But as for now, first impressions, I've got nothing bad to say about the RAV4, to be honest. I'm just gonna be real and be upfront with you guys. Be prepared to pay higher prices for new cars, man. I mean, we can see the trend already. New cars are getting more and more expensive. Whether it's CKD or CBU, it's just getting more and more expensive. And I mean, if you can still afford it, I've always believed that a fully imported car, especially from Japan, it's always nicer. I guess psychologically it just feels better. I still value things that have a made in Japan word on it, you know. I still, place a lot of value on that. So that's all for now, our Toyota RAV4 first drive, first impression video. I'll see you next time.